The man stumbled out of the abandoned roadside field just as the sun pushed through the morning haze, collapsing onto the gravel like a shadow that finally lost its strength. His clothes were torn, his breaths ragged, and he looked as if he had crawled through the night just to survive a few more minutes. And standing only 10 feet away, clutching a paper bag of breakfast rolls, were a single father named Ryan Meir and his 12-year-old daughter Ariba, who had never seen a dying stranger before, but would soon make a choice that would shake their entire community. If you believe in kindness, compassion, or the power of second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Your support helps these real-feeling stories reach more hearts. Ryan froze at first. For a moment, all he heard was the crunch of the gravel under his boots and the thumping of his own heart. For years he had been raising Ariba alone, doing everything quietly, cautiously, always thinking 10 steps ahead because he couldn't risk anything happening to her. But now danger stood breathing at their feet. Ariba tugged at his sleeve, her voice trembling yet firm, urging him to check if the man was still alive. Her innocence overrode fear, reminding Ryan of the same compassion her late mother possessed. He knelt beside the stranger, noticing the deep gashes on his arm and the pale tint of someone who had lost more than just blood, someone who had lost hope. They dragged the stranger, later learning his name was Yusuf, into their old but sturdy pickup truck. Ryan's mind spun with panic. There were safer choices: call the police immediately, wait for an ambulance, keep distance. But the closest hospital was far, and the man didn't look like he had more than minutes. As Ariba pressed a towel, her school handkerchief, onto Yusuf's wounds, Ryan made a choice that would change the course of their life. He stepped on the accelerator. The morning roads were deserted, washed in a soft daylight that made everything look strangely peaceful despite the chaos unfolding inside the truck. Yusuf drifted in and out of consciousness, mumbling something about someone chasing him, begging them not to leave him behind. Ryan felt his hands tighten on the steering wheel. He didn't want to get involved in someone else's trouble. Raising a child alone had taught him to avoid unpredictability. But when he saw Ariba whispering to the stranger, telling him to hold on, promising that everything would be okay, something inside him softened. Perhaps fate had put them here for a reason. At the small district hospital, nurses rushed Yusuf to the emergency ward. Ryan and Ariba sat in the waiting corridor, the scent of antiseptic mixing with the relentless ticking of a clock. Time felt heavier than usual. A doctor eventually approached them, explaining that Yusuf had suffered severe injuries, dehydration, and blood loss. If they had arrived only minutes later, he would have died. Those words hit Ryan deeper than he expected. He had saved a life, yet he had no idea who that life belonged to. For days, Yusuf remained unconscious. Ryan visited after work, while Ariba came after school, always leaving a small get-well card on the side table. Slowly, rumors began swirling around the hospital. Some said Yusuf might be connected to something criminal, others claimed he was just a traveler robbed in the night. Ryan didn't know what to believe. He only knew they had done the right thing, even if it complicated his life. One afternoon, as rain tapped against the window panes, Yusuf finally woke. His voice was frail, his words slow, but the first thing he asked was why they saved him. Ryan didn't know how to answer at first. It was Ariba who spoke up, saying that no one deserves to die alone on a roadside. Something in Yusuf's eyes glimmered, an ache, a gratitude, a sorrow far older than his injuries. He began to share his story. Yusuf had been on his way to meet his younger brother after years of family estrangement. He had made mistakes in his past, bad company, bad decisions, nights he wasn't proud of. But he had left that life, found honest work in another town, and was now trying to rebuild his family ties. On his way, he was ambushed by men from his past who thought he still owed them. He managed to escape in the dark, injured and alone, stumbling for hours until Ryan and Ariba found him. Ryan listened carefully. Yusuf wasn't pretending. The tremble in his voice, the regret in his words, they were too real. Ryan, who had also lived through his own grief and struggles after losing his wife, understood what it meant to start life from scratch. A bond formed, quiet but meaningful. Since Yusuf had no one else around, the hospital allowed Ryan to sign as a temporary contact. Ryan hesitated, unsure if this involvement would bring trouble. But the sincerity in Yusuf's eyes, and the way Ariba always insisted he deserved help, pushed him forward. Weeks passed. Yusuf regained strength, though his limp remained. One evening, as the sun dipped into soft orange clouds, Ryan brought Yusuf home for a simple dinner. Ariba had drawn a "Welcome Home, Uncle Yusuf" sign with crayons. Yusuf was speechless. He had not been called "uncle" lovingly in years. Over dinner, he shared stories of the bakery job he once held, how he dreamed of owning his own small tea stall someday, a fresh start far from his past. Ryan felt something shift inside the small, dimly lit dining room. Maybe this wasn't just about helping a stranger. Maybe they all needed healing, together. But trouble wasn't done with them yet. One night, Ryan returned from work to find Ariba standing anxiously at the door. Yusuf had received a threatening message from someone claiming to be part of the gang he escaped from. They had discovered he was alive. Panic rippled through the house. Ryan's protective instincts rose instantly. He called the police, reporting everything. Officers arrived, took Yusuf's statement, and promised surveillance near their neighborhood. Yusuf blamed himself for bringing danger to their lives. He packed his small bag, ready to leave despite barely being able to walk without limping. But Ryan stopped him at the doorway. This man, once a stranger, had become family in ways unexpected. Ryan refused to let him face danger alone. The police intervened over the next days, tracking the gang's movements and taking necessary action. Soon, the threats ceased. Safety returned like a long, tired sigh. Life slowly settled into a rhythm. Yusuf found work at a local bakery, the owner moved by his story and determination to rebuild his life. Ariba loved visiting after school, always leaving with extra pastries, because Uncle Yusuf insists. The small family of two had unexpectedly grown into three, tied together not by blood but by choice, and sometimes, that bond was even stronger.